see. Don't learn, do you? Leanne? Okay.
Can you get there?
Kicks and giggles. I'm going to push the envelope.
Gosh.
And I'm
Good evening, Tom.
How are you?
Phone police up there.
Commissioners, order, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Those individuals who lost their life in the fire. Particular Commissioners hearing room. Please RSP from November 13th meeting regular.
Redo.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I second. Move in second. Okay. Up here. We have an application for a special Class C license for beer and wine, Main Park Row, etc. This will be seventh application from the for beer, wine, and liquor from the Rock Hall Volunteer Fire Company Christmas Masquerade Ball in the Chesapeake Room at the Rock Hall Volunteer Fire Company on the aforementioned applications. Hearing none. Sol LLC.
Which is a solar developer. We've been developing the Blue Star project. Considered this project pretty briefly starting E, and it's an aggregate net metering project, meaning that the actual energy that's bee pollinator habitat, working with NREL, the National Renewable Energy Useful and Beautiful, during the system. In June of 2017, and had actually with Amy, we hope to be closing on our financing very soon, which will enable us, 19. And the hope is that the system will be operating. We're before you today doing a pilot to make sure that we went above and beyond in terms of project. When we discovered that, so we obviously have to conservation parcel, including the land that wasn't even ours. We also
How do you
should hopefully provide more value.
To get the ag tech credits.
The next is, does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Pollinator habitat. And then that in Maryland, personal taxes, the county told by the state at that time that the system would be HR for 2017, and that bill. So conversations that were had in the meetings in September says that it's exempt, and so in the minutes, you sort of, if you dig into the minutes, you see that
The pilot should be created. So it's aggregate. It's minimal. Because if you had a $10 million facility, like that was not my intention on board.
Okay. That's the guidance from the state that the system would be exempt. And because of, and he informed us that his interpretation had changed, our exemption after filing a form, and we came to find out that for a pilot agreement that would significantly.
I know there's a max PPT that we could use from the state's numbers. I know there's a model out there from Dorchester County, Queen Anne's County, and multiple counties were established because the solar industry took hold, and just because of some of those exemptions, just went crazy in 2016 into 2017, and all the counties had to get on board to try and figure out, first of all, how to control how much it's done in a particular county. And second was to bring the revenue. You know, if the county has industrial land to be used for industrial growth in time, and it's part of the model to move forward, then putting solar on it's not the best investment for the county. You know, by no means. So we kind of adopted this model of multiple other jurisdictions, and personally, that's about as low as I'm going to go, is the model that's been created, and that we adopted basically this late in 17. So that's my 2 cents.
accurate?
And that, just so the audience knows, that's a difference of $49,000 over 35 years, or $647,000 to $650,000 over 35 years. So, and we could go with the states, which would be over $1 million a year. So, I'm not in support of your pilot.
The state's max, which is what our ordinance passed, was 2.5 times the real property tax rate. For anybody who isn't familiar, Queen Anne's County recently passed a resolution, and regionally, some of the other counties have basically unofficially adopted the same model.
Our documentation, the way we create it, is pretty much worded
Right.
verbatim with multiple other counties.
That's correct.
So, and just so the citizens of the county know, you're offering $1,000 the first year. The state says we should be getting $73,000 a year, and we're saying $43,000 to $44,000 a year first year, and then it continually progresses from there down over 35 years. I'm going with our pilot.
Okay.
Well, it decreases until year 11, and after that, it's
Plateaus or stays.
stays level.
Understood. And again, the reason why we stand before you today is just based on the fact that we had gotten guidance that it was exempt, and based on that, we had made business decisions. So it was challenging for us to have to change the economics of the project. And that's going to be a challenge for us moving forward.
You know what they say about assume.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So, what do you want to do?
We already adopted that any pilot will be, that model's already in existence. We've already adopted that. And
What's in existence is that you can agree on a pilot, but we don't have a formal document that outlines what that pilot looks like here in Kent County.
If you do nothing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Shelley, but if you do nothing, the tax rate would apply as set forth in the code.
That's right.
So no
Or-
action, if you don't want to do a pilot and you just want the project to be subject to the tax that's provided for in the legislation, you don't have to do anything.
The annotated code provides that you can do a pilot, that enables the counties to do a pilot.
Right, if you want to accept the payment in lieu of the tax.
I would suggest we make, I'd like to make a motion that we create a letter to support what the model we've chosen.
Well, let me just say, would we be better off, I mean, obviously they come in here under thinking one way, and let them go back and take a look, talk to their people and see if they have, come back with a different option or something, or see what they have to say.
Yeah, we're happy to switch it.
because you have to, if we use the model that has been adopted by a couple of other counties, that may change your economics as far as your project is concerned.
So to quote, I just pulled up Queen Anne's resolution that you've referenced. The pilot agreement will not generate less than 60% of the estimated business personal property tax. And then the pilot agreement may provide flexibility to provide relief for the startup years of the project to ensure project feasibility so long as the revenue for the life of the project does not fall below 60% of the estimated personal property tax. So what's your business personal property tax? So what you're talking about is 60% of the max value.
Right.
Essentially what you're doing is giving some tax breaks at the front end to get the project going.
You can.
Up to
You can
40
allow
up
for
to
that
40%,
as long as
yeah.
the 60% is the.
Well, I guess if the county doesn't need any more tax revenue, I think we should just let it slide then.
No, my thing is, I think they come in here thinking one way, and now they're hearing something different. I'd like to give them a chance to talk to their people, and then come back with maybe Plan B.
Before you go though, did you realize that we did put this pilot in place?
No, we haven't put any pilot in
Not
place.
a pilot, but we put the language out there of what our pilot's going to be.
No, we have not.
We did legislation providing for the
We
tax.
have put in place the model.
No.
No.
Kent County has not put in place any guiding documentation about a pilot. What we've put into place is the ability to put a pilot, to agree on a pilot
So that, what I'm saying is that language is out there.
in Queen Anne's County.
We haven't adopted it.
Right. We don't have to. Queen Anne's County took it a step further and actually adopted a resolution that guaranteed that a pilot would not fall below 60% of the max. Right. Okay.
I'd just like to let them have a chance to come back and review what they've heard here tonight. You know, the fact that any county can certainly can use some additional revenue. So I don't want it to be one or the either or nothing. You know, it's there's got to be some. I just like to hear the second time from them after they get a chance to go back and talk to the powers to be, and then come back with, and they can tell us, you know, we can't do no more than we're doing, or I'd just like to hear a second opinion.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. As we said, we base the economics of all of our contracts around this, including the revenue contracts for the actual energy, including the cost to build the system. So we would very much appreciate that.
I do have a little, I don't want to say sympathy for you, because it's not exactly the right word, I'm sure, but you come in here thinking, and started this project actually when you didn't even think you were going to have to do anything. And now you know something different. So go back, regroup, come back, let us know what it is you can or can't do.
When did you put Washington College on?
In the project, they executed the PPA in April of 2017.
So after you'd already come in to start the process.
After we had begun an inquiry, but not before the CHR for 2017.
So did
When we instituted the business personal property tax.
Did they join the project, or did you encourage them to join the project because you knew at that time the state would give you the waiver?
No, but we did want to find an off-taker for the project that would fit within the aggregate net metering program, if that addresses your...
But you're right, but so it'd have to be government or...
That's right. So Kent County, for instance, has its own solar system that is exempt from taxes, and that is the sort of build and save model of this project.
So specifically in August of last summer, 2017, Ed and I had spent a long time on the phone and writing emails back and forth, and it was at that point that they told Kent County, SDAT told Kent County, that a project such as this would be exempt. And sometime between then and this past summer, SDAT changed their mind and said, no, it's not exempt. So that lobs it back to the county's court. Prior to that, we had no choice.
Right.
Look, we may come up with the same thing the second time around, but at least it'll give them a chance to go back and talk to the people that they work for, and we'll hear your second off.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking at this model, Queen Anne's models that you have, and it's front loaded, and that would not be.
In their resolution, they say that it doesn't have to be like that as long as the bottom line doesn't fall below 60, over the course of 35 years, as long as it doesn't fall below the 60%. That's how their resolution is set up.
Yeah.
So.
I would flip this around. Okay. Where is he? Marty Hale, Human Resources Director.
Hey, Marty.
Okay, thank you.
Final iteration of this?
Yep, well, for some of you. Are you referring to the manual? Because that'll continue to ebb and flow over time. So I'd like to begin tonight with a request for approval to amend the employee manual, specifically the holiday leave policy as proposed. And it has really, the situation came up with the public safety departments who are paid a little differently when it comes to holidays. So currently, the public safety employees work schedules that result in weeks where they work less than 40 hours. Because they do not have holidays off when they occur, they receive the benefit of using holiday pay to bring those hours up to 40 per week. That system has created a situation in which it's challenging to ensure that all hours are used in the current year and are used correctly. There's a lot of manual checking needed, which is time consuming. What we're proposing is to change the holiday policy so that the system automatically drops in the holiday pay on the actual day that the holiday falls. That would make the benefit the same for all as it is currently for all the employees, and it'll reduce the manual tracking necessary to eliminate the possibility of errors in the system. And if you agree to that, it results in an amendment to the holiday policy. The final paycheck policy would need to be amended as well.
And there's no financial thing. It's just
no.
a different way of tracking it.
It's just going to drop when the holiday falls. So when an employee works, for instance, if they work 32 hours one week and then the next week is their heavy week, they're going to get paid for their actual hours. And then when the holiday falls, they'll get paid for that as well. So so it's a minimal reduction to their biweekly pay on an annual basis, just because they're some weeks are going to be less than 40 hours, and then some weeks are going to be, if it falls in their heavy week, it's going to be 8 hours heavy.
Over the course of the full year, it evens out.
Equalizes over
Is it correct that existing figure out what the holiday pay would be, and that's divided up amongst the year, and now they're going to get paid the holiday pay at the time of the holiday?
That's correct. And right now what happens is that in order for that to occur, the first part of that, which is the way they're paid now, they do, and they go into the negative, so we have a negative balance, and then it goes into a positive, and then in some of the departments, if they happen to pick up an extra shift on their short week, well, they don't fill in the holiday time, so at the end of the year they have a surplus, which they're not supposed to have.
But it's a tracking nightmare.
It blends with their system better. It ensures everybody's treated the same, which is ultimately
It's on board. They are perfectly okay with the
process by
impact
having
it was initiated by them.
Okay.
Right, so we started the process by having a conversation with the supervisors and department heads in the public safety, and we allowed for a feedback opportunity, and we got none. So,
Motion to approve.
Second.
Properly moving second to amend the employee manual, holiday leave, and final paycheck policies as proposed, effective January 1st, 2019. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried unanimously.
well, thank you. There is a resolution included in the packet, I guess, that would need to be signed. And we also included not only the language that was removed and everything, but with the passing of the new manual in November, we now plot out the pages, so we include and if we add and subtract, and that causes us to change page numbers and everything like that. So they're included in the packet as well.
And that allows for the old manual, if you recall, had a manual and then a whole stack of resolutions piled on top. So if you were looking for a particular paragraph, you had to read the manual and then make sure none of the resolutions applied to that paragraph to change it. Now we have a real-time working document, so we remove a page and replace a page.
Yeah, so if we add language and it pushes it out an additional page, we change the page numbers accordingly, so it blends into the new manual. It's always accurate.
Okay.
All right. Okay, next, here to request approval of comp leave, of a comp leave buyback program for up to 40 hours for the employees. And A little bit of the background: comp leave is earned when the employee works overtime and chose to receive time off credit instead of pay. County policy is that employees may accrue up to 80 hours of comp leave. In 2016 and 17, the commissioners, this board approved comp leave buyback program of up to the 40 hours. We're requesting to offer the same program this year. If you approve it, then we would coincide the buyback to for those hours to be included in the December 20th paycheck.
Second.
All right, moving second to approve the comp leave buyback up to 40 hours per employee and be paid on the December 20th, 2018 pay cycle. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Motion is carried unanimously.
And lastly, I'm here requesting approval to hire 2 individuals as maintenance workers in the Department of Public Works Maintenance Division at an annual rate, which is in our salary grade set. There are 2 vacancies. It began with 1 vacancy, so we advertised for 1 in the Public Works Building Maintenance Division due to resignation. We advertised internally and externally for 2 weeks, and it resulted in 4 applications, of which 2 met the minimum requirements, and they were interviewed by Jim Wright, Bob Merritt, and myself on November 15th. The evening or the afternoon before we interviewed on the 15th, we received a letter of resignation, so that created an additional vacancy. So we interviewed, and we found both of them to be acceptable for the 2 vacancies. So I'm requesting that we offer the 2 individuals interviewed the positions.
So moved.
Second with discussion.
Okay. Properly moving second to approve the hire of the individuals for 2 vacant maintenance worker positions as requested pending successful completion of county pre-employment requirements. Discussion?
There's an issue in my mind with this that I've spoken to Marty about, and sometime in the future I'd like to have a little closed session, I guess. Well, maybe it's not closed session, to discuss that. There's some requirements there that I think I would question. And I'll let it go at that until we have I guess I can say there is a requirement from the county that you have to have a high school diploma
Or GED.
in order to even apply for a job
As a maintenance worker.
as a maintenance worker.
So you're excluding.
Actually, for any position.
All
Right,
positions.
It is for any position, but I would think a position like this, and I don't know how far I should go, but we've had to leave the county to fill these positions when we could have filled it with a very capable individual within our county, but they didn't have a high school diploma.
We need
You
to
could
look
add
at
or
job spec.
equivalent employment experience. You know, you say
This person had 25 years of experience working for a school board as in this position, this very position.
Okay.
And if we're going to, I don't think we should be excluded. Look, not everybody's going to graduate from high school, but they still got to live and work here. In this case, we went out of the county. Now, look, I've always been for hiring within, but there's times when we have to go out of the county to get the type people we want. This kind of job, I think, I just had a problem with it. I don't want to hold up the hires, but this example, it's the first one I've seen like this in a long time, that this person was highly capable and was set aside, and not Marty's do. I mean, look, he's just. I think they did interview him.
We interviewed him he's applied 3 times. We've interviewed him for a different position in the past year, and the requirement got passed, but it was picked up in the second application.
I mean, I just think there's times when that high school.
Look at the job spec.
Right.
Right? That's where the requirement
back to
is.
say education or experience.
And that's the first time I've ever had, in 6 years, I've ever heard it coming up as an issue. But because I never thought, in 6 years, we've never had somebody say they weren't qualified because They didn't have a diploma. So that's kind of, I'd support that 100%.
You just
Ron.
change the specification requirement.
Right.
Yeah, because you
We
do.
require- We apply experience equivalent, everything above the minimum of a high school diploma or GED. It could be looked at, but when the specs were designed, they were designed by the employees filling it out and actually saying what level of education was approved and passed through by the department heads or the supervisors. Then the department heads went to the consultants. The consultants felt it, based upon what they were viewing, that it was a relevant requirement, and they wrote it in.
There's no there's no reflection on the HR. I mean, they're just doing what they're told, what's in front of them. But I just think we're going a little overboard to require that in some of these other positions, because these people got to live and work here too.
Well, in the past,
There's a few teachers probably think that I shouldn't have gotten a high school diploma, but
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's
well, because rarely you retain the right to waive a requirement.
Yeah, because, well, here's the thing. Most people don't even try to apply
because they know
because
it
they
now.
read that part of it and they don't even apply. So look how many employees in those positions of the county that we may have lost. Now, county roads, most likely not, because you're going to have to be able to at least pass your CDL license and all that. So maybe there's an issue there. But you also could set it up as a county program to help assist. If these guys do want to get a GED, we got
There's different venues for that, sure.
Got education for it. You got
in
Kent
this
County.
specific case, this individual worked 25 years in the
As a
school
maintenance
system
worker. Yeah,
Right.
doing this very job.
yeah.
And I'm familiar with him. He's worked for me for the town of Rock Hall. He's worked for an apartment complex and 25 years with the school system. So he's overly qualified. He's completely qualified for the job. And I just think that's something that's not exactly what we would intend. I don't think we would want to exclude people
Right.
that have that much.
We can look at this particular job spec as well as others.
Yeah, there's how to-
Right. And
And going forward, this is all, I'm fine if you want to move on with this. I second the motion, but
Well, there'll be another opening in a month.
and I agree, but I wouldn't want to have to see this happen
right.
twice after I've seen
That's
it
probably one
once.
of our biggest turnover departments.
All right, you're right. I agree. So we'll look at it a little differently, or if we have to change that, we'll change it.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried unanimously. The two individuals are hired accordingly. Thank you, Marty.
And you would like me to look at that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think what Tom said is exactly the way it should read. They got to have a high school diploma, or if they don't, then I don't know how
I
you
don't
word
even
it.
think I don't.
Equivalent experience.
You mirror the same language you would use for a college education, for other positions.
Or equivalent.
Right.
And
We
are you
apply
saying
an
equivalent
equivalent.
would be
Well, we
time?
apply 2 years of experience equals 1 year
I don't
of
know how you word it.
college, and then add the experience to that. And
And maintenance could fall under almost anything to have the time. You know what I mean? Are you talking?
And I think the person could even complain about us. And, if somebody's qualified to do the job and we overlook them because of some other reason, doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Whatever word you need, Marty, you can do it. And look, again,
I
no
will.
reflection on you whatsoever. You and I had the same
we did.
discussion earlier.
And it's what it's about to discuss it. So
Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
great Thanksgiving, everyone.
You as well.
Turkey Day. Yes, ma'am.
All right, 4 items for you up for discussion, and then I have a more or less a report out. But the first item is a request to schedule a public hearing. There have been 6 applications that have been received seeking to establish agricultural land preservation. The Ag Preservation Advisory Board has reviewed the application. All 6 were reviewed on October 29th, and they voted favorably for recommending the approval. And the Planning Commission as well, at their last meeting, also reviewed them, and they found that the applications were all consistent with our comprehensive plan. So the Planning Department is requesting a public hearing be scheduled.
Expeditiously. According to
Okay. Next, Department of Social Services Advisory Board. We have had a member resign due to conflicting time events. So there is a resignation in your packet along with a thank you letter to this individual, and forthcoming will be a recommendation for a replacement.
Okay.
Judges of the Orphans Court, as passed in Annapolis this past General Assembly session, was a bill that allowed for the county commissioners to set the salary for judges of Orphans Court instead of it being an annotated code. And as you recall, there are several counties that do it, have it in annotated code where it's mandated to be, and then there are several counties that have another model, and that is simply passed or as approved by the county commissioner. So we moved from one category to the other.
Now we don't have to go to the legislature anytime. Just
Set by you. And of course, it's set by you at the beginning of their term, so it can't be changed in the middle of their term. So it wouldn't be up for review again for another 4 years. But attached to your packet is a resolution that sets the rate at the amount discussed previously.
You could change the rate during the next 4 years, but it would not
Go into effect. Correct.
all the next group of Orphans Court judges.
Right.
You can't get the pay increase.
As you well know.
Same way the commissioner's salary.
Exactly. Mid-term, your salary doesn't change.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Party moving second to adopt resolution 2018-10, which is Orphans Court Judges Compensation. Specifically, the judges' annual compensation shall be $6,000 effective 1 December 2018. Okay. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried unanimously.
Okay, I also have in your packet a grant application. This is basically an intent to apply for the 2020 State Aid for Police Protection Fund.
So moved.
Second.
Party moving second to apply for the State Aid for Police Protection Fund 2020 grant application. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Motion is carried unanimously.
And finally, several certificates of appreciation have been included in your packets for the Ministry of Song and Reverend Anthony G. Brown.
Okay.
No action required.
Correct.
Okay. That's it.
That's all I have.
We have any questions from the news media? No questions at all? I think we have a closed session.
Well, before that, what if we have something to say?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, I do. I just want to thank you two guys for working with you for the last 6 years. There were some rough times, but there's a lot of good times. And I personally want to thank you for that.
I agree, and I tell you, this is my 5th board I've served with, and I think the three of us, this has been as productive of 4 years as I've spent, and I've enjoyed working with both of you.
And I wish we were the ones finishing out the next 4 years of all the good things we put in place. That's the biggest thing. But
Those things happen. I
They
think
happen.
Kent County has been around for a few hundred years, and it's been will continue to be around. Okay. And I must say this way, and you can pass this on to the staff. Having worked in various governments, state and federal governments, the staff in Kent County and all the departments are exceptional, very dedicated individuals, especially when we go through we went through some hard times during the economic hiccup.
Collapse.
You're right. And I think in some of the actions we were forced to take were unfortunate, but I think our employees took that in stride. I think it shows a lot about how dedicated they are to serving the people of Kent County.
I'll second that.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
All right.
All right, I got a motion to go into a closed session to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on a legal matter.
Second.
All right, move a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're in closed session.